כל נושא של... לא, לא נכון. אותי לא מקליטים.
בגדול, דוויד מוגדר כמובן מכירות וייצוב. I'm saying that he's in charge of everything. Important. So we'll present לליק, and with him is Kathrin, and let's give him a hand. So maybe we can
Good morning. Oui.
Short introduction or immersion into the Lalique world. Basically, we have organized this presentation in two parts. First of all, to give you a bit of heritage and history, what's about Lalique, who was Lalique, and the type of work and influences it has.
can't hear me? Oh. Okay. Yeah, so he was, oh, if it's too loud, just let me know. I'm not used to that. Yeah, he was trying, as I said, to involve or to work with different kind of materials and gave them a fashion touch for that timing, as I said. I'm a little bit out of concept because I don't want to miss too many details, but on the other hand, I don't want to tell you so much details because you will have seen it later on in the presentation. Well, and as I said, he was a great revolutionary for his time, and he was influencing the art of that time, but also influencing other artists of that time. Means other artists were starting to interpret his works, were copying from time to time or imitating it. So he started to find new ways to be special, to keep special, to stay special. So he started actually with the glass area, which was not that famous at that time, but as others already tried to copy his work, he was thinking, okay, let's start with that and see if that's a material or a possibility to create something new. And he started very little and got more and more familiar with that kind of material. And in the end, as you might know, he's one of the greatest glassmakers known for that time, for the Art Nouveau and Art Deco style. So it comes from that base, actually. And through the glass area, he was creating lots and lots of, he got more and more known in the world due to the exposition universelle, which was taking place in year 19. The world got, he got highlighted, and the world was looking at him and got more and more famous and got more and more attracted by what he was doing. So through to that, he had the possibility to do different projects all around the world. For instance, he created doors, glass doors, crystal doors at the Japanese palace, the Imperial Palace, or he was creating a dining room on a famous ocean cruiser called Normandy. Or, as you might know, the train Orient Express. He was creating the windows for that. And you see, those projects brought him more and more awareness globally, everywhere. And still today, just coming back to the classworks and the projects he had, still today, that's the most known. And you can, it's still still in exhibitions around the world, like in museums. There are still 40 museums in the world showing the works of him, like in everywhere in Europe, in Japan. There's a huge museum in France where the manufacture of him is placed. And Well, actually, back to his work, he was open late of the 19th century. He was open his first manufacture and shop in Paris, in the middle of Paris. And in the beginning, he was working as, we would say nowadays, he was working as a freelancer. He was creating, in the very beginning, jewelry, as I said, for Cartier, for Boucheron in the beginning. So very famous, till he got brave enough to work on his own jewelry items. And he was selling that. And coming again then back to his glassworks, I don't know if you know François Coty. It's quite famous perfumer for that time, and still today very well known. And during the change between the 18th and 20th century, perfume was not achievable for everybody, so it was made in little flacons. So they took the flacons and put it in some special jewelry, crystal boxes which they created. And together with the cooperation with François Coty, they were trying to do something special, which is according to the perfumes, to the fragrance they produced. So they were trying to build up or create flacons which give already a good picture of what the fragrance itself is about. And that was one of the times perfume got more and more achievable for everybody. And yeah, it brought Rene Lalique himself to the idea to create perfumes in the end, which comes back to the project Shlom had already mentioned. So he was not only a jeweler, he was not only a glassmaker, he was creative in kind of every field, like perfume, like jewelry, like interior design. And yeah, well, I'm talking and forget to go through all the slides. So we see here now some kind of his work, some crystal pieces, some vases, some decoration design, some art. Yeah, he was experienced and experimental very much in that field. You see here the Orient Express, a famous fontaine over there. Ah, yeah, that's the interior of the Orient Express, and the dining room of the cruise ship over there. Yeah. Ah, and here you see some of his perfume flacons. And this, yeah. One other field was in the Roaring '20s, so we reached already the Roaring '20s. It was not common at that time, but few of the people, they could achieve mascots for their cars, like for Rolls-Royce, for instance. And so he was, as he was the specialist that day to create crystal pieces, he was creating mascots for the cars also. And those pieces are still very much sought after, still today. There are still auctions going on at Sotheby's or Christie's, which which sell those pieces for very high prices. And that give another short summary about his stages in life, about his work, how he started, when he opened his first shop, and when he opened the manufacturer, which is still existing today, which is in Wingen-sur-Moder in France. That's our Lalique manufacturer, which is also a museum till 2011. We opened a huge museum about Lalique, about his work, and yeah. After Rene Lalique's death, it's just go roughly through what came after his generation. It was Marquis, was one of his sons, and he took over Lalique in the 70s. Before already, in the 50s, 60s. And he was trying to bring as much modernness into Lalique as it was able to for that time. He was bringing some new, for instance, techniques or machines into the manufacture to build up and to grow that. And after that, in the third generation, in the 70s, it got another feminine touch. Marie-Claude overtook Lalique. She was then being the designer head of it. And she was bringing, the fashion and the modernist of that time, she was bringing that into it. She was traveling a lot also, so she was inspired from different countries, from everywhere. She was more focusing on sculptures maybe, which she has seen in other countries, like lions, like animals she saw, or plants she saw in different countries, in Asia, America, everywhere. And that gives you a summary again about where Lalique is still exposed today. It's over 40 museums today where you can find it. Like, first of all, the museum close to our factory, our manufacturing in France. Then the Victoria and Albert Hall in London, or the design museum of in Paris, for instance. Though it, as you see, it's everywhere in the world, still well known and very much asked for. Yeah, that's the factory today in Wingen, which was actually in Wingen at that date when he founded the manufacturer. He was looking very specifically for a place where people were able to bring his designs and his ideas into sculpture. And at that day, in Alsace in France, they were able to do. They were known by the material glass. They brought a long tradition into that. So that's why it's the reason he decided to ground the manufacture there, because people already knew how to work with glass, for instance. And they were able to bring his ideas, his designs into real sculptures in the end. And yeah, as I said, still today, the manufacturer is based there, and it's an old tradition still for the people working there. They grew up with Lalique when they were a child, and now they're working there, so they really feel it by heart and really and are enthusiastic and motivated to work with that. And now it's more relaxing for all of us. We're going to see a little movie, but I shortly need to get out of the presentation. How do I get out of it, actually? Because it's not, no, it's not linked. Can you escape? I cannot. Sorry for the interruption.
יש לך movies here? What is the file? This one? Because it's both. You have to get another format.
Yes, please.
Which one?
It's open already.
This one is already.
Use this one. if you
Okay, that's better. Thank you. So we are, as I said, that was the part of the history, a really short introduction. Obviously, we could talk about the history and the work of Lalique for the whole day, which I don't think we would like now. But so I just want to bring you and to give you today what's Lalique today and how we have used all this heritage, as I said, and all these techniques and all this know-how and all this craftsmanship. That's not Lalique, it's the owner of Lalique. It's called Sylvia Dance. Actually, it's just going to mention a couple of words why it's important to see that now Lalique, it's in the hands of the person who was the private, bigger Lalique collector in the world. So it was, then we are mixing like the economic part and the heart part. So he bought Lalique, we bought Lalique basically 6 years in 2008 with a lot of new investments in the factory mainly. We have invested more than 50 million in the last 6 years to renovate and to create new furnace and to recover ancient techniques like gloss wax that we are going to see later. And to put it again into our nowadays views. We truly said and believe that Lalique nowadays it's a global lifestyle brand. And don't get it wrong, we are not denying the heritage of Lalique actually, but if it would be too ancient approach, it would have died probably in some years. So we are bringing all this expertise into what we call nowadays our 5 pillars. You will see the different type of creations and products we are developing today. So we have the decorative items. Basically, that's the crystal, purely the crystal tradition and the crystal objects. In that category, we also have glasses, the decorative items, as I said, but there's also this type of creation. It's less and less sexy or attractive to people nowadays. In Europe, people used to get married, and then people used to get to give as a gift a crystal piece. Nowadays, that's over. I mean, it's okay. Time change, and we're moving with the time, and we have to adapt to that. But it's still the core business of Lalique. It's still the decorative items, which is mainly the crystal part. Then we have moved quite a lot into interior designs, which means also nowadays it's you will see later. It's also furniture, integrating crystal into the furniture. Whatever you can imagine in a house or in a flat or in interior designs. From lustre, from lamps, from everything you can imagine, you will see. Design and art, before it was supposed also to be a bit separation. Nowadays, art and design, they are very, very close together. We also have one of our pillars, it's what we call the art. It's really masterpieces. Only, most of the time, we're talking about 2 pieces, 12 pieces only, where for each piece there's required like the work of 20 people working in different stages in that piece. We are working with renowned artists today. Again, we'll go through that later. Jewelry, we are back into the jewelry business in the terms that, as Kathrin said, I mean, at the very beginning, and a lot of people don't know, Lalique was a jewelry designer before being a glass maker, a glass designer. So we have so many drafts and drawings from Lalique in our hands that it looks like it might be been created 100 years ago, but it's so relevant even till today. It looks so modern, actually. It's back to the roots, giving our modern touch. And last but not least, which is also very important here for our project, actually, is we are Lalique. It's also a perfume maker. So it's a very it was supposed to be before a niche brand. Now we are much democratic. We are obviously high-end type of perfumes. We are developing the commercial fragrances and glasses, but at the same time, every line we are launching or we are coming into the market, we have a crystal edition linked to that specific line. So again, the mix between the past, the history, the knowledge, and the modernity. As I said, that's some of examples of Lalique icon figures, which is the mostly on the left side. We saw just a little glass coming, and there was also the little disformed on the way here that some of your students were doing. We're thinking about the mossy vase. We have other decorative items, and as I said, also into the glasses, and we will see later. We have a new collection which is called 100 Points, which are 100 pieces from glasses for water, wines, and so on, decanters and so on. Second pillar again, which is a bespoke type of business. So just imagine if somebody, well, has the financial means to do it. We can create everything in any place with crystal, from stairs till beds. You see here. So that's what we call Lalique Maison, which is really Art Deco inspired. Art Nouveau is more for you will see for jewelry, for other type of things. So we are doing that in youths. We are doing that even there's going to be well, it's still a confidential information, but there's a new hotel building up in Tel Aviv, where it's going to be the interior is going to be completely decorated with Lalique crystals and panels and everything. We have a couple of examples where we're talking about art. On the left side, you see the Victoire of Samatras, Victory of Samatras, which is was a creation with the renowned artist Yves Klein. And at the same time, the touch of modernity here, for instance, we are working with Aerosystems with Jean-Michel Jarre, which is a very famous French musician. So basically, combining the technologies, the nowadays technologies. Actually, you put your iPhone, and you have the best sound in the world. It's amazing. It's like a tower like that with crystal decorations. Jewelry, as I said, we are back into we have classified the jewelry obviously in the fine jewelry, where Lalique traditionally was. For instance, a couple of years ago, we created one single piece of their retail price. It was €500,000 with precious stones and everything. But that's the high-end jewelry. And at the same time, now we are also developing duty-free type of jewelry, actually, going from the cabochon traditional ring to necklaces, earrings, everything. And we always say that every product that goes out from the Lalique factory, even if it's €100 price position or $500,000, the quality, it has to be exactly the same for all of them. in perfumes, as Kathrin also mentioned, he was working very much with Coty, creating a lot of glasses for the perfumes. You can see here on the left side one of our crystal editions. That one is 2013 limited edition, which is 2 peacocks kissing each other, and there was a special technique as well, because in the middle it's not filled, it's on the frame actually. So it fills in separate levels. So it fills in first on the rounded part, and then it fills inside. So, but we're going to the details of the techniques, and you probably knows much more about the techniques than myself. But just to have you again more overview of what's Lalique doing today. We're doing the co-branding, working with big names in the industry. For instance, here Macallan. We're making big, unique decanters for Macallan. In October last year, there was a Christie's auction, and so we have the worldwide record of the most expensive decanter. Was 600,000 US. It was auction last year. So we are doing special and unique pieces for special and unique brands. So we are putting together our names. That was the decanter that was with the oldest Macallan whiskey. We also work with Hardy, the cognac, making a carafe with very Lalique, very recognizable Lalique inspiration. More co-branding. We are working also with watches, very high-end watches. In this case, Parmigiani. Also very specific and unique type of items. There were only 12 pieces of this Fleurier, which is really a masterpiece of and taking back ancient type of designs and bringing back into the modernity. As we already saw the Aero system by Jean-Michel Jarre. It would be interesting to
see the movie about that?
yeah, there's a short movie about the no, now we are experts.
40 hommes qui travaillent sur cette pièce. C'est une pièce limitée, c'est une pièce qui porte l'emblème de René Lalique, le masque et les perles. C'est un petit peu la rencontre du cristal et de ce que pourrait être le cristal sur le plan sonore, c'est-à-dire la qualité ultime, à la fois sur le plan technique et acoustique et à la fois sur le plan esthétique. Et vous assistez, comme moi d'ailleurs, à l'aboutissement de ce rêve, qui sont les premières chaînes ici, Lalique. C'est un projet absolument unique au monde, puisqu'il n'y a jamais eu jusqu'à maintenant de collaboration entre deux secteurs artistiques, celui de la musique et celui du cristal. Mais au fond, en tant que musicien, on peut chercher l'idée du son le plus pur, je veux dire au fond, le crystal sound, comme on pourrait le dire en anglais. Il se trouve que j'ai un lien aussi personnel avec le cristal, c'est qu'il y a un instrument très rare qui s'appelle le cristal bachet, qui est en fait un luthier qui, dans les années 40-50, a mis au point des instruments qui sont des instruments de verre, mais au lieu d'avoir des touches, on a des tubes de cristal et qui sont amplifiés par des haut-parleurs en inox. Et je dirais que tout ça, c'est aussi lié au fond à l'idée de la perfection musicale et le sens de la perfection française. C'est des instruments uniques. Et on se retrouve exactement dans cette situation-là avec ce projet. Donc il y a à la fois l'idée de la pureté dans le cristal et dans le son, mais aussi l'idée de la collection, c'est-à-dire de l'objet unique.
Vous venez de découvrir ici les Rios par Lalique. C'est le stade ultime de nombreuses étapes de fabrication et de contrôle. Les hommes, sculpteurs de lumière et de son, ont créé cette œuvre contemporaine. Les Rios est la synthèse parfaite de la haute technologie et de l'artisanat d'art.
Well, the idea of this video was also to show you the different steps during the work, more than the system or the music or whatever, but and all the images obviously are turned in our own factory. That's the factory in Bingen. As you see, obviously working with 1,500 degrees, sometimes it's better to be in short t-shirts instead of...
Without t-shirts.
Yeah, that was only for the video that they were wearing there. Flip-flops, yeah. We also have, as I said, the 100 points collection. Gem Suckling is like guide Michelin guide for the wines. So he's a very renowned authority in wine. So we have developed a collection of glasses with him. Other type of co-brandings, crystal editions, unique crystal editions. They are all numbered and they are all limited, obviously. An association with Bentley, which recovers the mascot inspiration, with the flying bee, which is very recognizable as well. So that was a fragrance crystal edition. So it's, again, mixing the crystal and the fragrance. So basically, it would have been also been done in glass, actually. So basically, what is nice here, and that's what you're going to get into more deep. That's the sky is the limit, basically. Working with glass, you can create so many things and associate that with in this case with fragrances, with perfumes. And there was also Jaguar by Lalique. That's still in the Queen's Mary collection. We did a specific one for her as well. We are now working with also architects, very well-known architects. I don't know if you know Zaha Hadid. Probably not as known as other architects today, but she's very famous and building up very interesting buildings in the UK and all over the world now, with these beautiful vases. Working with Carandache as well, another Swiss company, with the crystal Carandache for Lalique collections. Obviously, Mr. Gallagher felt he cannot drink his Coca-Cola without being a Lalique glass. That's the only way he can drink his Coke. Liked, please. And well, there's a lot of Lalique appearances in films. You can see the table behind us. It's a very icon Lalique table. A lot of new projects with Elton John, which are still confidential, but we are working with him as well. Yeah, and again, we could put a lot of testimony of different people and architects and designers and artists. So basically, if we summarize what Lalique stands for, as we said, a unique know-how, clearly, and that's again matches very well with you, with Bezalel Academy. As I said, with the history and the know-how and the approach, the creativity that you have learned and developed during these years of studies. Very important, the innovation. It's not because you have a lot of history that you have to stop innovating. No, on the contrary, you have to keep innovating and finding new techniques and finding ways to adapt and use what exists and bring it to the next level. We even tell our guys in the factory, don't be afraid to be creative. I mean, if you miss it and something didn't work the way you thought in theory it would, doesn't matter. If it takes 10 times, 20 times, at the end, if the result it's a unique piece or an improvement of a technique or something, it's worth it. Obviously, it's not to be pretentious to say a luxury brand, but sometimes today we tend to mix what is trendy or what is really luxury, and the difference it doesn't sound or might not be so evident, but what real luxury stand for, it's something different than a trend or a temporary mood or trend. As a Lalique group, we are now also developing the best way we can translate our views and to way to expose our pieces. Obviously, we are now working in the retail business. We have more than 40 boutiques worldwide. We have some projects also again for Israel, so that's a very interesting one we're working on. And obviously in the most famous and prime department stores worldwide. There's another film which is also very interesting because of the technique, and you will see the Victoire de Samatras production and the way we recover the lost wax technique, which is a very ancient. obviously the communication is very important. So in a pure, but putting the product as it deserve, it's the product is the star of our visuals, communication. You can see all the things that we are doing. As I said, Lalique Maison, vases, the Bacant vase. It's one of the icon items for Lalique as well. Collections inspired with animals. Modern vases also inspired. And again, there's a lot of not only transparent crystal or glass, but it's also colored. Sometimes it's also unique. So some of our boutiques displays, and obviously everything done in a much modern and design way, including and mixing all these different pillars, actually, from crystal, from art, from interior design, to fragrances. With panels as well. This is our flagship store in Rue Royale, in Paris. New York City, Harrods, 160 square meters in Harrods itself. Hong Kong. As you see, anyway, whatever it is, the consistency of the brand is there, and especially again the quality of the items. It's highlighted in all means. Just basically to come back to our interesting and amazing and very hopefully very successful partnership, which is we are very confident and convinced that we can really work very much in a very reachable way on both sides and three sides basically. The idea is that we would like that you guys, the innovative, the new generation with fresh ideas, design fragrances, bottles. One of them, obviously, what we call a masterpiece, as well as a commercial fragrance type of bottles. The idea at the time, we talk about the milestones. In May, it is that our creative head of creation, the studio creation, the creation studio in Paris, the head of this department is coming here to work with you, spend one day with you, that you can exchange directly, concretely about the development of these creations. The designs and he'll probably give you some tips, some hints in which direction go or not, or even exchange and share type of things, which is I think would be very interesting and ritual. He was so excited when I told him, yeah, we're going to make a partnership with Bezalel again. He was like, oh wow, that's fantastic. When are you going?
Was supposed to be today.
Yeah, sorry. Instead of that, you got me and Kat. And obviously, ideally, in October, that's a milestone where we can together choose the best projects. And especially what also very important, we would like to this person who's going to win or to be selected. We would like to offer an internship in France. For some weeks. Divided basically in two parts. One really in the field, in the factory, working with our people there, even learning some techniques or showing you exactly how it works, and even making a piece internship would be to spend also time with our designers and that you see how we come from a project and how we develop a project internally in House of Lalique. But yeah, that will be obviously a pleasure to have the person who will be selected to be part of us, even if it would be in short period. And why not one day to get this person or some other people be part of our team, our creation team and science. I'm allowed to.
Internal conversation.
And obviously the idea is that we take the design of this selected people and to make it a little bit. So
I agree with modification.
correct. That's one thing is the design of that's can be very creative. Sometimes you have to adapt to make the technical drawings and everything to make it feasible. But obviously that's we thought it's a very nice way to reflect and to end up this partnership to give the opportunity.
Give you a chance to go global.
Correct. And obviously we'll put the highlights and obviously with Glenn Richardson, she's master doing that and marketing and PR and everything to put directly into the projections. So hope you will take it as we are taking it as a very nice and exciting challenge, partnership, I would say as well. Yeah, so bring you a little bit into our own world and vice versa. So thank you for your attention. Thank you, Aaron, for the time and for everybody's time. It was supposed to be half an hour, but have any question or whatever? Yeah, sure.
Please elaborate further about the content of the panels. We're talking about the design and the plastic side. I want to know about what you do. I mean, the smells, the odors.
We are also, as I said, we are also making our own fragrances, so we are working with our, what we call the noses. So basically, both are linked. We don't choose a fragrance without having the design.
First the design and then the...
You can find you can fix the direction, the olfactive direction. It can be floral, it can be floral fruity, it can be cypress, can be different type of fragrance directions. But in these big families, it's a huge palette. So basically, we work on the design and basically on the result of the design of the bottle, which is and even the color of the bottle. The fragrance has to go. If it's a let's say a pink type of bottle, you cannot put an amber or very heavy fragrance in that type of bottle. It has to be more floral. It has to be more. So everything is linked on it. And obviously we will do the fragrance.
We're gonna have a session with you. Learn about fragrances.
No, sorry, fragrances.
So you can see all the different elements, you can choose the perfumes.
Just one more question, maybe. What is the size of the bottles? Is it 30 milliliters? Is it 100? Are you going to give some technical specifications?
For the
For the 100 milliliters.
100?
The 30 we can go right?
For the masterpieces.
Commercial. 50 or 100, choose.
So the size of
It's
the
usually better the 100.
100.
So that's
For the privé series, I'm talking about for Lalique, 100 milliliters.
correct.
Okay, so this is what we're thinking about, 100 milliliters bottles.
Correct.
Okay, and you expect to see the sketches in the form of, can you elaborate on how you would expect to see it? Is it going to be like
גדול, שאר הכסף בעצם מוקדש כדי להעניק תמיכה טכנית בביצוע של הפרויקטים האלו עד לרמת פיניש, לפחות שתתקרב בקירוב לאיכויות שחברת לליק יודעת לייצר. יש לכם עוד שאלות בגבי, בשלומי?
אין לדבר איתם עוד על הטכני?
לא, לא. אני רק מזכיר לכם, בשבוע הבא יש לנו סדנת צרמים. עוד שבועיים, סליחה, ב-2 באפריל. חברת חצון מזמינה בסם, שיגיע למחלקה ויעביר לכם סדנה איך בונים בשמים, כדי שזה יהיה עוד איזשהו מימד שתוכלו להכניס לתוך התהליך העיצובי שאתם עושים. דווקא אתם רוצים לשאול משהו?
It depends on the design. The point is coming back to your point. Whenever the date is going to be in May, clearly at that time, I don't know if it's going to be the best. The more you can show to our design director or head of this department, the more you have advanced, the more you are going already in a direction, specific direction, or even a technique that you have already evaluated. The more he can guide you into the right direction or not, or probably advise you, probably no, with this type of item or with this type of idea, we would advise you to go with this type of technique. It's just a starting point, basically that he can evaluate together with you, especially as well, to evaluate, and that's why he's coming sort of early enough to work concretely on your ideas, on your questions, on your projects. And the way you present it, he's familiar with all of the techniques, so basically it will not make a big difference. It's probably better the way you feel more comfortable or the way you translate your ideas in a nicer way. It's not a no technique at this point, so everything is open. Yeah.
I think one of the most interesting parts is, let's say, for how to translate kind of the qualities into plastic work. I think this kind of question, which are actually the kind of question that designer have to deal with. I think this is really very valuable achievement and learning point for our students. To know how to translate ideas in one material to other material. And of course, to present technical difficulties. That's why we have a group on our side to support us.
And by the way, because the designer didn't come, he's gracefully with them. What they suggested as well, you should see if you want to use my notes, is there can be a session in Skype
Absolutely.
or an exchange of ideas before May would be helpful in the process.
Yeah, the organization can be
Consideration.
just a matter of setting up individual or scheduling different moments. The setting space is available and
Thank you. אני רק אומר לסטודנטים, אנחנו נייצר לכם את המסגרת, את מעטפת התמיכה בתוך הביטוח של התהליך. זאת אומרת, יש לכם את המנחים בקורסים שונים, אם בנוסף לזה אתם זקוקים לייעוץ, בין אם הייעוץ הוא טכני או עיצובי, אני מבקש שתגיעו אליי ואנחנו נייצר את המעטפות הדרושות בכל פרק שוב פעם, תודה רבה
Um,